Hello and welcome. This is going to be the Daily Dharma. My name is Dina. Thank you for joining. Come on in, have a seat, set the vibe and intentions to get the best possible message for your highest possible guidance and intuitive development. Divine masculine with remembrance here. Remembering how to take appropriate action in a circumstance. Just before hitting play, there was the message coming through that remembering to take a pause to check in and communicate with your higher source or spirit or your guides, whatever you believe, in the midst of the illusion that there's an argument or a conflict afoot. And I just had this eureka moment, something last night, on the phone with somebody. There's a quick gotta go, I'm in a hurry, and then later can't get in touch with somebody. It's like, is there something wrong? And sometimes we can begin to spin a story out of, is there something wrong? So empowered remembrance, it's almost like when we're facing down a conflict and we're thinking like, where's the guidance? Where's the guidance? You're not picking up my call. Are you mad at me? Are you punishing me, spirit? Kind of a thing. I don't know why that's coming out. Maybe you're looking for guidance and feeling that it's taking too long to create this decision. So empowered remembrance is something about remembering things can sometimes be clouded by our memories and other debris and other situations that are arising, just to show ourselves to ourselves in the situation. Discernment of remembrance, yeah, that's kind of what I was going with in that empowerment. It's like as we empower the truth, it feels a lot better to the spirit than if we're fostering doubt in a situation. So if you're waiting to hear something, like let's say waiting to hear back on a job or a bid that you've made, or some type of go ahead signal from the universe in whatever type of a thing that you're working up, it's something about looking back, taking a pause before you get frustrated and looking back at the previous few weeks. I'm hearing in this circumstance, but for different people might be a different timetable depending on how big the ask is that you're looking for guidance on. We've got soul time and discernment, something about looking back through those last few weeks, months, whatever, and looking at the situations to evidence the growth instead of what's wrong type of a thing. And we've kind of gotten that message in different circumstances and octaves already about paying attention to what we pay attention to, determining an outcome. Heart chakra, soul time. Time to check in with your heart. If your heart's not in something, asking yourself why you're still engaging with it, and what you're getting out of the situation. Discernment, heart chakra. Yeah, is there true resonance in a situation? Even if there is some conflict energy, sometimes conflict can be highly productive, such as when we're brainstorming, there's a bit of tension and excitement that's working, hopefully, synergistic, cooperatively with other energies. But sometimes that tension can give rise to quite a bit. Let's see, third eye chakra under the deck here with discernment and alchemy, and I'm seeing coherence in a few others, but we'll go ahead and stop there in the interest of time. I may look at more of those, and several popped out here. I'm not going to read reversals in this case. If it needs to come out, it'll just pop out of my mouth. Number 7, crown chakra on the top of this stack. 18, cosmic flower. 38, remembrance. That one showed itself quite a bit in the shuffle. Authority. And heart chakra showing itself. So we've got 3 chakras on the table now, and this cosmic flower blooming DNA, activated DNA, the remembrance of our authority in a circumstance or situation, or the authority of our heart space to guide us. Also, in the pre-messages, I was feeling that the body is letting us know with very subtle clues in certain ways, and also other ways there are very overt signs, such as it was coming to me in my body as a pain in my back. And you can also look at the link between mind and body here, and spirit, mind, body, spirit, and all the other various energies flowing through our body. The body is usually something that we kind of are trained to overlook through various situations or unhelpful advice from others. It's like, oh, well, the show must go on. And so we don't pause when the body says, I'm at the brink. I'm kind of at the breaking point. One more straw. Okay, I can take that. I can take that. Keep on going. And so it's like, it's not necessarily universal forces making it hard for us to go forward because they don't want us to go forward. It's because rest and recuperation is such a vital part of integration of so many things, such as when you're working out, you need those rest days. When you're working at a job, you need some rest time on the weekends. You need a couple of weekends where you don't think about everything else that's on your shoulders. So yeah, integration on spiritual regards and messages is the same type of a way. We can't hear everything that's trying to reach us. We can't sort through all of the messages, signposts, and why was I going to say guarded? I don't know. We can't really pass go, sort of, until we learn and look at that level. It's like you have to, in a video game, I'm not much of a gamer, but it's a nice symbol. It's like each level you have to defeat all of the various mods, and what do you call those guys? The bad guys. You got to defeat the bad guys, and once you defeat them, then there's some big guy at the end that you have to defeat, and then you can maybe slip into the portal and go to the next level or something. So there's some type of advancement that's definitely being shown up, but we're being told to, oh, and I'm seeing prosperity as that 36 card that was under there, and 34 was passion, empowerment. Yeah, it's through allowing our body to speak about the passions and the alchemy at play in our life, and how it's either lighting up our chakra systems, helping the energy to be reciprocal with something, or what are we getting out of this situation. And in many cases, some type of material reward, such as money or validation or status, is somewhat less important. The body is very responsive and very sensitive to its environment, as we've noticed. And so any types of sickness and soreness, you can look at the body, mind, spirit link to say, for instance, I'm right-handed, and when I have issues with my knees or my feet, it's almost always on the left side. My rotator cuff issue is on my left side. And to me, being right-handed, my right hand to me represents the masculine, assertive side. It's where I reach, where I've got that dexterity and logic, and it, all of that is represented by my right side, but my left side is the intuitive center that's in alignment with spirit. And I find that even in matters of discernment or making choices and decisions, I will often over logic, overthink, and over complicate matters in some type of a way. And that can also be emotional over complications with the remembrance part here. I'm hearing all these animals outdoors. It's spring, and the starlings are birds. They keep trying to nest in all of the crevices around the pole barn, and it sounds like something's behind me. It's like all of this false evidence appearing real. That fear acronym is almost coming into the reading here to talk about how we can be redirected in a moment with that trigger. It's like you can hardly help yourself. We talked about this recently, my boyfriend and I, talking about the flinch response. And it's like, oh, made you flinch, haha, that childish thing. But really, that flinch response is actually essential to our survival. And so taking that survival instinct and moving into the intuitive instinct is the ability to not do that when it's inappropriate, such as in human interactions. Being able to stay steady in the core of your truth. So, yeah, and I am seeing the back of the Empress on the decks over here, and Honor Thyself showing themselves on my double-sided decks. And for whatever reason, I was looking to rise above conflict energy in my own readings here. And so I flipped the Art of War double-sided deck on its side so I wouldn't see the message. But now it's calling to me. And now there's a song calling me. The Village under the deck. I see this as laying some type of social role or socialized ideology to rest. Some socialized norms. So this could be a movement from the career, the third dimensional status and material earnings, and recognizing a shift is necessary. Yes, so I'm seeing this with the mask as well. The mask over crown chakra and cosmic flower. So maybe the personality or your passions have been subdued behind social expectations. Yep, and here we have number 3, the Starborn, which corresponds with that 3 Empress card I just called to. I'm going to put that over here, over authority and heart chakra. I like that there. And then yesterday I mentioned this card was in my mind's eye. It's the womb. So that incubation period, it's like having put in our time in the village. Maybe some of you are at the age where you can retire, or are just shifting your focus from some type of socialized external pursuit into more of an internal process here. And it's a very vividly showing up the difference in your energy, the difference in your body, and the way it's responding to things. So did I complete the story about the left side? The left side is that receptive side, and it's like the ability to unmask what the body is speaking to us is sometimes only possible when we relax, when we sit still for a moment. And then the things that we're looking for direction on, it's like remembering back to the signs and synchronicities of recent developments and how you're feeling in your body about that, and where that means that your heart is calling you forward in some type of a circumstance or not. Because I think that many of us are going to have a redirect coming up with the coming eclipses at the end of March, early April of 2024 here. If you're watching this as a timeless reading, look forward and backward to the evolving eclipse story around you for us right now, this is coming from last fall, and that incubation period of a circumstance that maybe hit a wall, hit a breaking point, and there was an unveiling of a circumstance that needed to shift. And now we're looking back at whether or not the situation has shifted to our approval or something, whether we're able to resonate more deeply with the situation, to call more of ourselves to the table and call forth more of ourselves. But something has been developing. It could be that idea and setting up and strategizing for your retirement or this next phase or whatever, this next shift, or it could be the development of something like a relationship or a family issue or something like that that's coming into your mind. You'll know your situation, but it's a deepening level of identity with the starborn. It's calling forth the magical capacity of you. We open the deck to the lower world and many paths. And I saw 1616 when I held those up, which is to me a double tower. And the lower world is like the shadow realms, the suffering process potentially for some, or just the material world for others. But the material world isn't all bad. The suffering process also has something very magical to convey to us. There are many paths to our destiny, and I'm sensing that this is the self-judgment that is being surpassed now as we stop judging the perceived lower aspects of self and other and the need and urge for those old processes and coping mechanisms and ego manipulation energy to have as much bearing on our process as it has at different times in our past. Yeah, it's some type of overcoming and recognizing over the past however long, recognizing how that path has been also perfect for setting you up and preparing you for what's next, which is this unveiling and revelation of yourself to the village, unmasking the self and saying, I've been rebirthing myself and look at this shiny new self that I'm bringing to the table. So I hope that resonates with some of you. I said I wanted to look at what's on the Art of War deck here. Sun Tzu said, what enables the wise sovereign and the good general to strike and conquer and achieve things beyond the reach of ordinary men is foreknowledge. That's so interesting. Setting up and preparing you for this is exactly what came out of my mouth. So it's something about the many paths and detours that we were forced or encouraged or distracted by recently, even in recent years. Many of us, this has been something from 2012, or for some, for their whole lifetime. The mystical shaman, the namesake of one of these decks, the mystical shaman deck, and the many paths here. And then under that is the Metox repairing body, mind, spirit. So it's definitely time to check in with your physical body and repair that mind, body, spirit connection in some type of a way. This mystical shaman card could say that you are developing your capacity as a shaman. It's been coming up in some of the readings here. It could also be that you're gathering with friends who have this potential and somehow reaching this also. But I also, something that came up in my heart, but I didn't convey in the previous message when this came out. was I believe that there are going to be many people who have some type of a shamanic practice, whether it's personal or with close friends or otherwise, and that many of these individuals will also gravitate and pull other individuals onto their path and perhaps commune in small pockets in local tribes, but that these individuals, many of them will travel amongst the tribal at 2020, I see, travel amongst the other groups and be storytellers and sharing knowledge and foreknowledge. And if you are in a process of journaling and relearning the processes of earth, sky, water, whatever, sun, moon, stars hit me right here. There's all these capacities in all of the light bringers and light beings are gathering force and energy, incubating their powers, creating that critical mass for that spontaneous germination phase where everybody starts to really take roots in an exponential fashion, which precedes the growth of the tree. I'm looking at a tree image on the back of my cards over there. And also on the back of the deck here, we have Sun Tzu said, regard your soldiers as your children, and they will follow you into the deepest valleys. I really like that. There was a lot of disloyalty at different places where I worked, where the so-called top of the food chain of the hierarchical structure, the bosses, the ones that sat at the big table and got the big silverware, they were very good, they thought, at masking their acceptance and their friendliness with the ones that were on the line. But it was no mistake to those individuals down there that your cufflinks cost more than my kids' dinner last night. It's and I know that's kind of the way, because cufflinks are like these jewels. 22. So moving on, it's there's something where there's an elevation here. There's many paths, and we've traversed some of these lessons and witnessed some of these processes of faulty leadership and misunderstood compassion or lack thereof for a very important reason, to gather in our remembrance of heart-based authority. The reason why it sits in our hearts is to strengthen that heart muscle. And then in the strengthening process, we bloom. The roots are so deep into that lower world of everything that has been recognized, that then when we do turn to face the sun and face the future, we can suddenly recognize how everything is truly divine in this circumstance. And the village has absolutely prepared us to be the new shamanic leader of some type of heart-based, compassionate, reconnective energy. And of course, I don't want to sound culty. That's not the objective here. So I hope none of you are triggered in that type of a way. Some of these things come through just as symbols. So if that's the truth in your life, you're the expert. Not everybody wants to do the whole kumbaya thing with their energies, and that doesn't need to be judged as any less divine. If somebody can accomplish their work through navigation of the third dimensional world, you are some of the most called at this time, because there are masses and masses of people who will not be able to extricate themselves from that faulty matrix without people that have their foot in each realm, material and otherwise. And as long as we are spirit embodied, we cannot live without the body. So Things are not as they appear. Look below the surface. The lower the price of your love, the higher its value. Brain freeze the universe. So we do have crown chakra here and third eye chakra with that brain freeze. It's like freeze the anxiety, freeze the overthinking. Don't take things as they appear. You are perhaps a very high level in energetic status and not as lofty in your material status, but because you are compassionate, even if you're working the line, the individuals who are status holders and have these little jewels glinting in your eye, I'd rather be in contact with sun, moon, and stars than the little stars in somebody's eye who's just looking at a diamond and hypnotized by that path and cut off and frozen from their compassion. And that's who we are here to recognize and remember our process of being. You might not readily believe this. It might even spook you a bit, but there are those who chose this very lifetime in large part knowing you'd be here. Now that's what we call a reputation. Hugs, the universe. Talk about status, right? For as long as you wish to keep them in your life or the circumstance, whoever or whatever it may be, understanding them as opposed to changing them will wildly improve the chances that they'll wish to keep you in their life. On the other hand, you're pretty much stuck with me. Oh, wow, how I love you, the universe. I think that is a good place to let us stop. I'm going to cut this deck. Sacred River Yangtze, number 25, talks about letting things flow, letting yourself release and cleanse and almost baptize yourself in water. And I don't mean to call out religion. It's sacred baptism by possibly even the process of release of tears, mourning and release and fully embracing that emotional empowerment and letting that recognition of your true spiritual value as your true blessing so that you can unlock the passion that's ready to animate this next leg of the journey for you. So I hope that helps. Get in touch with that mind-body-spirit connection and check out some other messages if you're looking for further guidance. Take care.